have included in these. So I just wanted to make that clear to start with. So the first one, Senate Bill 1362, allows second, third, and fourth class counties to file an abbreviated annual financial statement like first class counties can already do. It also prohibits publishers from charging anything other than the normal rate to do that. It does require the counties to supply to the publisher, an electronic copy. So if they want to ask any questions or do any articles or anything like that on the entire financial statement, it will allow them to do that. I might also say that this is supported by the Missouri Press Association. I think they're here today to testify in favor of this. Just as an example, my own county, I'll use it as an example. This year, they had to file their full-blown financial statement, and it was over $3,000 to my small county to put it in the paper, which I'm not dogging the papers because they're there to do a job too, but just a few years ago, that same thing cost about $1,000. So the prices are really expensive. Nobody's trying to hide any information. One of the main things that I'm told that people look at are the salaries of the public officials, and I do that very same thing too. That will be some of the that will be included in that abbreviated financial statement that they are required to file. In addition to that, Senate Bill 1362 will allow the Department of Revenue the ability to do a one-time downward adjustment on fines for political subdivisions who fail to file an annual financial statement. Madam Chair, you'll remember our friend Representative Fouch worked on this bill for years when she was up here. We were finally able to get it passed in House Bill 1854 2 or 3 years ago, and it got vetoed by the governor for other reasons, not to do with this. Got it passed a couple years ago, and the Supreme Court threw out the bill. So I hope we can finally get that portion across the finish line because we've tried very diligently to do that. This bill also provides that any political subdivision that has gross revenues of less than $5,000 or that has not levied or collected sales or use taxes in fiscal year for which the annual financial statement was not timely will not have a fine. If the failure to timely submit the annual financial statement was found to be the result of fraud or illegal conduct by an employee, the political subdivision shall not be subject to a fine if it is filed within 30 days of the time they discover that fraud or illegal contact. I think I probably have some witnesses to testify in favor of that, but again, I think the main point is this has been passed numerous times out of this body, and we just kind of got hung up with something else, and so it got thrown out in court. Happy to answer questions.
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, in support. Please fill out a witness form and state your name.
Good afternoon. I'm Brianna Lennon. I'm the county clerk for Boone County, Missouri, but I'm here in my capacity as secretary of the Missouri Association of County Clerks and Election Authorities. We are in favor. I'm speaking specifically to the portion about the county financial statements. I think Senator Crawford did a great job of talking about the impact of having to do the full statement. I'm fortunate that I'm already a first-class county, so we've seen the benefit of being able to do an abbreviated statement and have worked very well with our local media if they have any questions. And just wanted to add, too, that part of this involves, making sure that all of this information is available. Many of us, almost all of us, have county websites as well, and this information goes online, too. So we want to make sure everybody has access to it, but in a way that counties can still afford.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none.
Thank you.
Next, in opposition, is that what we're?
Support.
Support. I'm sorry. Kind of lost track here.
Jimmy Laughlin, Camden County Auditor, also here for the Missouri Association of County Auditors, President. Jimmy Laughlin. We're in support of this. We want to thank Senator Crawford for sponsoring it. One of the reasons we asked for this change is there's two types of accounting processes that happen in counties. There's either cash or there's accrual. And with that, the accruals are not done in March with that old April date. So we asked for it to go to the June date of June 30th. The reason being, when you're accruing, much like in the financial institutions, bankings, there's bond accounting and all that kind of stuff. It hasn't all processed through the system where cash, you cut the check, it's there, it's done. You recognize it immediately. But accrual, it takes time for it to get through the system. So until the collector finalizes out their stuff in March, that is not finalized in our financial statements until after March. So we asked for the June 30th date, which is what Standard & Poor's for bond accounting and everything else applies for. So we asked for that date to be changed. Also regards to the auditor's, state auditor, that goes to the state auditor, which requires us to have that filed, all counties, by April 1. If we don't, then there's restrictions on us issuing checks in the future after that point, and that's for all counties, first, second, third, and fourth. So that's the reason we asked for that later date, because those first and second class counties that are on accrual basis, they will have to file with a disclaimer that they don't have the whole picture to present unless they have that June 30th date. But we are in support of it. We thank her for doing that. We want the short version, and we're so glad.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you. Next in support.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Mawson, and I'm with the Missouri Press Association, representing the more than 200 newspapers in the state of Missouri. For the past several years, in fact, I think 5 years or so, we've worked with Representative McGaugh on this bill. In fact, we invited her to a board meeting one time to explain all the parameters of this. The board voted unanimously to support this, and I just want to let the committee know that we are in favor of this bill. I'd be willing to answer any questions.
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you. Next in support.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Richard Sheets, Executive Director of the Missouri Municipal League, and we'd like to go on record of support Senate Bill 1362 and appreciate Senator Crawford for introducing this. The component we're really in favor of and worked on for a dozen, probably 13 years, is the issue that dealing with financials, the fine for not filing the timely financial statement. We worked on this, worked out the bugs on that, and any concerns. This really impacts smaller cities that don't have a staff, and sometimes those financial statements do get misplaced sometimes in those small political subdivisions. But also, I think more importantly, is those areas where there's employee malfeasance because the employee is hiding their actions and also hiding the notices they get from the Department of Revenue and the auditor's office about these fines. So they accumulate. I know the city of Center had a problem with the city clerk that was stealing money, and they owe over $100,000 in fines because they weren't aware of that conduct. So I think this goes well to protect those communities, the tax dollars, and I'll try to answer any questions if I can.
Any questions from the committee, or any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Next in support. Seeing none, first in opposition. Seeing none, informational purposes only. Seeing none, Senator, any final remarks?
Yes, I apologize. I left out the portion when I was presenting the bill about the financial statement date changing, and thank you to our auditor who helped me out in that. We're changing that from March until the first day of July to line things up to where they can really give more true figures. So I apologize. I left that part out when I presented the bill, and thanks for hearing it.
Thank you. Before we go to your next bill, we have a quorum. We're going to call row. Okay, she just walked out. Okay, what do we got here? Call row.
Senators Gannon,
Here?
Crawford,
Here.
Carter, Coleman, Koenig, Rizzo, Washington.
Thank you. And so we will continue. And you may begin with Senate Bill 1363.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, for the record, Sandy Crawford, District 28. For the benefit of Senator Koenig, I mentioned earlier these two bills that I'm presenting are portions of House Bill 1606 that I had interest in, the elected officials portion, and then some financial statement portions. I know you had some things in that bill too, so I assume you might be refiling those as well, but this is kind of going at it again for things that were not, this isn't the reason the bill was kicked out in the first place, but we're trying to get the things passed that we did want. So this is the elected officials portion of the bill. Again, none of these things were problematic with the court case. As a matter of fact, all these things came out of this local government committee with little to no opposition. I did not look back at the actual votes, but typically we put things together that are all non-controversial. So Senate Bill 1363 allows counties, other than those of a charter form of government, to increase their coroner's salary up to $14,000 greater than the compensation allowed by law, if it's approved by the local salary commission. This legislation was originally passed, or a few years ago we passed it to allow second-class counties to do that because of the Joplin area. Actually, they were the ones that came to us and asked about that, but this would just expand it to the rest of the state. In addition, this bill allows county coroners who fill the vacancy of sheriff in the event something happens with the sheriff. Of course, the county coroner is the one that fills that slot temporarily. This would allow the coroner to get the sheriff's salary when he does that. It also allows the Salary Commission of third-class counties to amend the base salary schedule to include assessed valuation factors in excess of $300 million, as long as the adjustments are equal for all county officials in that county. It also allowed the county collectors to conduct their delinquent tax sales by electronic media. At the same time, they were conducting it in person. They felt like that would get more bidders on the properties. Senate Bill 1363 allows county auditors to have the ability to audit and examine claims for which a county official has a fiduciary duty. In addition, it excludes the Boone County Sheriff from the current salary schedule. Boone County had asked for that. It's my understanding there was no opposition to that. And then lastly, it changes some statutes concerning public administrators. Public administrator is a guardian and a conservator. If a PA is a guardian and a conservator for a resident of the county, that's to serve as two different letters, and also, in other words, they're representing them in two different capacities instead of just one. Also set up a new salary schedule for the public administrators, but again, only with the Salary Commission approval. And it requires all public administrators to be paid with a salary rather than just fee-based. And again, all these things were passed a few years back and just got overturned. They were kind of a collateral damage, I guess you would say, with that bill that got overturned. I'm happy to answer any questions. I probably have some witnesses behind me that may be able to speak to some of the different.
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, first witness in support.
Chair. Again, Jimmy Laughlin, Camden County, Missouri Association of County Auditors. We're in support of this legislation. And thank Senator Crawford for putting it back up there so we can get this resolved. And it's just a level of transparency that we're asking for with that, to access documents that would ensure, risk and fraud type stuff, that to ensure that level ability for people to know that it's being there's oversight.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, next in support. State your name and fill out a witness form, please.
Good afternoon. Lady Chair, members of the committee, Casey Nail here today representing the Missouri Association of Public Administrators. I want to thank Senator Crawford for bringing this forward for us again. And just wanted to make myself available for any questions on those public administrator portions. Like Senator Crawford mentioned, some public administrators are still paid as if they're part-time, and then their letters are used to determine their salary. So by creating that clarification that those two roles count as two separate letters, we've been able to see 16 public administrators across the state get an increase in their salary that better reflects and compensates the real work they do. So really appreciate that, and happy to take any questions.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Next in opposition. So, are we still, that's right, support. And you may begin when you're ready.
I'm too short. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Angie Schulte, a registered lobbyist for the Missouri County Collectors Association, and we too really appreciate Senator Crawford bringing this forward again. I'm speaking on the portion that talks about the auctions for land with delinquent property taxes. We feel like this just modernizes the process and allows more people to participate in those auctions. Because they don't have to drive from place to place. And then also more properties can be sold this way because we have more bidders. So, thank you.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you. Next in support. Seeing none, first in opposition. Seeing none, informational purposes only. Seeing none, final comments?
Just thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you. Okay. Next, we will hear from Senator Schroer on Senate Bill 985. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, for the record, Senator Schroer from Senate District 2, St. Charles County. If you remember this bill from last year, it was Senate Bill 400. It was an excellent bill. Many thought. Insert dad joke. But this is Senate Bill 985, known as the Right to Farm Your Backyard Bill. This was a legislative initiative aimed at establishing a framework for allowing backyard chickens within a homeowners association. The bill allows for individuals with 2/10 of an acre to have up to 6 chickens, but no roosters. This would still allow for individuals to raise chickens in their backyard while also respecting the concerns and interests of their communities. The bill is identical to Senate Bill 400 from last year that passed out of the Senate on 4 separate occasions and out of this committee by a vote of 6-0, and numerous times in the House as several amendments as well. I've got a couple expert witnesses that I think will be able to emphasize how important this bill is, and then I'm going to have to run because I've got a bill that they're hearing next door. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Well, any questions for the bill handler? Seeing none, I'm anxious to hear some of these witnesses.
They're top
First
tier.
in support. And you may begin when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Josie and I'm 9 years old. I'm here to tell you why I think having chickens is amazing. Chickens are really helpful for families, especially when it comes to food. Did you know that having chickens means we can have fresh eggs right at home? It's amazing. We get to experience delicious and fresh eggs every morning for breakfast. And they taste even better knowing we helped raise the chickens that laid them. But chickens are more than just egg layers. They are also great teachers. Taking care of chickens teaches us important life skills like responsibility and compassion. We learn about animal behavior and health, which helps us understand the world around us. My family and I take turns looking at and taking care of our chickens. We make sure they have enough food and water. Having chickens in our backyard it's like having our own adventure. We love watching them strut around like they own the place. So I'm asking you to support Senate Bill 985. Let's make backyard chickens a possibility for more families like mine. Together we can create healthier, happier communities where everyone can enjoy the benefit of having chickens. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You did an amazing job, and you know what? Fresh eggs are pretty good. How many chickens do you have?
6.
6, just the right number, and you help take care of those chickens, don't you? What's your favorite thing to do when you take care of the chickens in your backyard?
Play with them.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, next in support. Okay.
Hi, my name is Lily Murphy, and I am 10 years old. Today, I would like to testify in favor of Senate Bill 985 and to share with you my experience with raising backyard chickens and why I think it's an excellent idea for many families. First, raising backyard chickens can help me and my family have food. Did you know that backyard chickens can lay up to 300 eggs per year? This means that my family and I can have fresh eggs every day, which is healthy and saves us money on groceries. And we share our eggs with our neighbors and friends. Also, backyard chickens are a great source of protein. The eggs they lay are high in proteins and contain essential nutrients such as vitamins A, D, and E. And when you buy store-bought eggs, they're normally up to 60 days old, and they're losing those good nutrients that you can get from fresh eggs. Another benefit of raising backyard chickens is that it teaches us about responsibility. My siblings and I take turns feeding, watering, and collecting the eggs and taking care of them. I love taking care of animals and being responsible for them. We also learn how to spot any signs of illnesses in our chickens and how to take care of them. Additionally, raising backyard chickens can help our planet. They produce fertilizer for our garden, which helps our plants grow. And they also eat insects, which helps control bugs in our backyard. A flock of just 4 backyard chickens can eat up to 332 pounds of household food scraps per year, preventing this from going to landfills. Senate Bill 985 doesn't take the right away from HOAs to regulate chickens. Many HOAs argue that having chickens can be annoying to neighbors due to the noise and smell. However, there are many ways to get rid of these issues. For example, my chickens are living in a well-built coop that my dad built, and we use sweet PDZ or chicken kitty litter to lessen the smell. Also, some breeds of chickens are quieter than others, and roosters, which are the noisiest, are not needed for hens to lay eggs. This bill even says HOAs can still regulate roosters. In fact, many cities and towns have adopted these regulations that allow backyard chickens with some restrictions, like the number of chickens allowed, the distance between the coop and the neighbor's home. In fact, my neighbor loves to watch her chickens from her deck. HOAs may argue that allowing backyard chickens will lead to lower property values. However, this argument is not supported by evidence. In fact, many studies have shown that urban farming, including backyard chickens, can have a positive impact on property values by creating a scene of community and enhancing the aesthetic value of neighborhoods. Lastly, raising backyard chickens is a great way to spend time with your family. We love watching our chickens play, scratch around in the dirt, and interact with each other. They have their own personalities and preferences, and we enjoy observing their behaviors and learning about them. In conclusion, raising backyard chickens has so many benefits, from providing fresh and healthy food to teaching us about responsibility and being environmentally friendly. I encourage everyone to consider raising backyard chickens, even if it's just a few hens, and voting for Senate Bill 985. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You did a great job. I had no idea that I was possibly buying 60-day-old eggs.
Yeah.
Okay, so I learned something new today. Now, let me ask you, do chickens lay eggs every day?
Yes.
Okay.
We get about, with our 6 chickens, we get about 3 to 4 eggs a day.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, we
All
have
right.
a little basket on the table and
Yep.
we put them in.
Well, there you go. All right, any questions from the committee? Okay. Next witness in support. Next, first witness in opposition. How could you? Don't you dare, yeah. Oh, okay. So, okay. How dare you? But we will listen. And you may begin when you're ready. Fill out a witness form, please.
Thank you. Pardon me, I have a little bit of a cold. My 7-year-old gave it to me. And I just want to start by saying on the record, my name is Ross Kaplan. I'm an attorney with Sandberg Phoenix. We represent the Community Association Institute. And you guys are really, really brave. Like getting up here and talking like that, that's huge.
Yeah.
And what I would say is, I don't live in a homeowners association. That's ultimately what it comes down to. I don't know if you all do or not. My neighbor across the street has chickens. They're great. I get their eggs as well. But I think that there's a certain right that comes to this, which is people choose to live in certain areas because they want to be able to have things the way they want them, and they want to be able to govern themselves. And when it comes to planned communities like homeowners associations, they go into those areas because they have set ways in which things are going to act. There's bylaws, indentures, things along those lines. And everybody has basically said, we take these civil rules, we're gonna go into this because this is what we want to do. So for the legislature to then come in and say, well, you know, excuse me, I guess it's the General Assembly, to come in and say, well, we think that you should do this, when we've all already agreed to something else entirely, it kind of runs counter to the freedoms that we think need to be out there. And the fact of the matter is, I think there's lots of great places to raise chickens, including my neighbors across the street. I think also, just a couple of technical points with respect to the bill. First of all, when it speaks about homeowners associations and the lot size that has to go into it, it's a bit overly simplistic trying to describe how the homeowners associations work. The prior bill that was being discussed earlier, I had no idea that if you start off as a 4th-class city, you stay a 4th-class city the rest of the time, like St. Peter's was. It's the same sort of thing with homeowners association. We have these ideas that it's, you know, you drive down a subdivision, you see a big sign, and then everybody has their pre-designated lots, and there's a building that's on the lot, and that's their home, and then there would be room for coops. And that's not always necessarily the case. There's lots of different ways to subdivide land. There's lots of different ways to create them, whether it's through townhomes or common areas or things along those lines that all still can qualify as planned communities and homeowners associations. And so there's a bit of nuance that might be missing from the bill. Separate and apart from that, the reasonableness standard that homeowners associations would have to use when it comes to the chickens themselves can be a bit problematic when they're trying to do the regulations. I think within the last couple of years they'd passed the solar panel portion of the bill because it's within the same law. our statute, and there's been a lot of litigation on that recently, and they still have not ironed out exactly what the reasonableness standard is supposed to be. So this is the opportunity to try to correct that, to get a different standard that would be in there, that would be clearer for homeowners associations to avoid litigation that would, I mean, it inevitably happens, whether it's a fence or a chicken. They're gonna sue, and so it would be good to have some clarity with respect to those sorts of situations. And then finally, excuse me one second, I would like to point out that there is a Senate Bill 1324 that is also out. I think it's supposed to be before you all next Monday, and we believe through CAI. Is maybe the better course to go forward with this, because what it does is it enables communities, planned communities, to more easily amend its indentures in such a way so that if the community wants to have chickens, they can do that, as opposed to telling everybody that they have to let their neighbors have the chickens. So as much as I do enjoy them, I'm not sure everybody does. I'm happy to take any questions.
Yes, questions from the committee. Senator Koenig.
I can't remember. I remember an issue like this coming up before. Is this the exact same one, or was that one dealing with cities, the one that we had before?
Well, if it was last year, I believe this came up last year, but Adam would probably know better. I'm sorry, I don't know that for certain.
So the bill last year we didn't pass, or I can't remember. Yeah, the bill dealing with chickens, yeah. It did not, all right. Yeah, and for the record, I believe a lot of homeowners associations are probably an unnecessary level of government, but.
So are all HOAs in the state of Missouri, do they all say that you cannot have chickens?
No, there's over 5,500 associations and planned communities. I can't drill down to the level that
Okay.
would be a homeowners association, but whether it's a planned land community or a homeowners association or a condo association, and they're all very individualized.
Okay,
And,
yeah.
and each of them kind of decides how they want to do things when they set them up, and then if they want to change it over time, they choose to do that as well.
Okay, all right, any other questions? Anyone else against the bill? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, anyone for informational purposes only? Seeing none, we have a quorum present. We're going to move to go into executive session. Do I have a second? Add a voice vote. All in favor? Say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Senate Bill 774. I move that we take up this bill. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. This bill, we heard last week, modifying local election candidate filing dates. Is there any discussion on the bill? Okay. I move that we vote Senate Bill 774 out of committee. Do pass. Do I have a second? Okay. Is there any discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Gannon,
Yes?
Crawford, Carter, Coleman, Koenig, Rizzo, Washington.
And the ayes have it. Okay, I move that we take up Senate Bill 1199. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. This is Senator Trent's bill. We heard last week modifying voter qualifications. Is there any discussion on the bill?
I have
Yes.
a comment.
Senator, yes.
I've been in touch with the bill sponsor and with the Chris over there, to be specific. I do have some concerns coming from my sheriffs and police. So as we work toward the bill, I'm happy to work with them, but today I'm a no.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I move that we vote Senate Bill 1199 out of committee. Do pass. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Gannon,
Aye.
Crawford, Carter, Coleman, Koenig, Rizzo, Washington.
Okay, 3 ayes, 1 nay. The bill passes out of committee. Okay, that ends the committee. Have a great afternoon. Go Chiefs. There you go. Rosemary Elizabeth.